Hi guys, and welcome to another segment. Or is it segment? What is it? It's a part 2 of Get to Know Me, and today we're doing the career edition. If you do not know me, my name is Dial-Makhubalo, and I welcome you to our home. When I tell you, I had just started recording, probably 10 minutes in, and I started coughing. So I had to go downstairs, ndiyozenzela amanzi anelemoni and honey, and now I'm back. So, and I've put in ear holes as a tool also. So if I'm stirring, please just know I'm stirring my lemon water just so that the holes dissolves and then it's a bit sorted. I'm also eating ear holes right now because what I am not going to do is not record, okay? So from the first Get to Know Me, I realized that I didn't speak a lot about my career or what I do, and I thought that this would be a great opportunity for me to speak about what I do, but also go into much more detail and depth. So that is why we're having this. I hadn't really planned a part 2 Q&A, but I figured mandiyenze because I didn't speak about my career, and I think speaking about my career is important for also where I want the channel to go, so that ningabi confused, and then so yeah. So I got a few questions on the internet, and you know what, zininzi ne. So the first one speaks about your personal background, and I think if you want to get to know more about me as a person, you can go to the first Q&A, right? Part A. So this is going to be part B or part 2, okay? So, but if you don't know who is in front of you right now, my name is Dial-Makhubalo, and this is my home. It can be your home. So if you subscribe, you will be home, and welcome home. So the first question is, tell us about yourself, and I feel like I covered that in the first part. So let's get straight into the second one. What are your core values and how do they influence your career choices? It wasn't up until probably 2017ish where I really solidified my core values, and I refer to them as core pillars. All right. And my thing is, as a person, there are things that are core to you as a person, né? And then your values change as you change in different spaces, at different times, at different seasons. So my core pillars are the things about me that I don't think will ever change. And they're very much aligned to what I believe my purpose is. And then my values are embedded in that, né? So I'll speak about the core pillars, and I think my core values currently would probably the description that I have on my YouTube, what is it, banner, family, faith, family, fruitfulness, and fun, finances also. So those are my values, but the order of those values changes also with different times. But my core pillars, I'll speak about my core pillars. One is to make a transformational impact. In any work that I do, I want transformational impact. So whether I am writing because I'm an author, I am speaking because I'm a speaker, I am coaching because I'm a coach, I am being mom because I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and so in my wifing, I want transformational impacts. In everything that I do, I want transformational impact. So that's the first core pillar. The second one is to cultivate the mind. I am intrigued at how the mind works. I am intrigued at how God created the mind. I am intrigued at what the mind can do. And so whenever I am writing, thinking, speaking, coaching, researching for my work, whatever the case may be, I may be doing with my work, I want that to cultivate my mind, but I also want it to cultivate whoever may be the receiver of that work. So that's the first thing. The second thing. The third thing is, a core pillar for me is healing. I believe in healing with everything and every fiber of my being. I believe in organizations that create spaces for people to heal. I believe in families that are healed. I believe in people that are healed. And I think healing is the birthplace of purpose. So healing is one of those core pillars for me. You will hear me speak about healing a lot, because healing, I believe, is the central thing that we all need in order for us to step into our true identities and walk authentically, speak authentically, do work authentically. So healing is one of those core pillars. And then the last one is awakening. Awakening dreams and purpose. In any work that I do, I want to experience an awakening. And awakening for me has a sense of God in it, right? So I want to feel a sense of God in the work that I do, but I also want other people to feel and sense and experience a sense of God. And a sense of God awakens dreams, awakens purpose. One of my clients gave me the name Vision Doula, and I've taken it and, really embraced it. And really, all of those core pillars speak to the fact that my gift is to help people give birth to their visions, to their purposes, to their dreams. And so hence Vision Doula. And so all of these core pillars for me influence what I do and how I do it. And then obviously then there's the values, as I mentioned, that my values currently are, as you see on my banner. So my faith, my family, fruitfulness in everything that I do. So in my work, in my relationships, etc., conversations, whatever it is that I do, I want fruitfulness. And then it's to have fun and finances. And maybe finances and fun could alternate, but currently those are my values. But my central core pillars are the things that I mentioned. My values will change depending on the season that I'm in, but that's basically it. What are your passions outside of work? Anything that has to do with the Word of God, I'm all for. I love working out, which is new to me. And I'll say new because, I've now been a person who actively is an active person for the past maybe 6-7 years. But it was a struggle. And now it's become a part of my identity. It's become a passion for me. But before, Danikoa. So working out, anything that also has to do with young people, youth, teenagers, I love. Who are your role models and why? My model, oh thank God, this is done. My first role model, I have so many, and I also have people who have mentored me in different ways at different times. And sometimes they're not necessarily like, we don't have a mentorship contract or whatever, but by being in their spaces, I keep learning from them, or, so I have many role models. I definitely have many role models. I can't think of just one. I have many of them. But one of my role models currently is Brene Brown. Love her work. So yeah, we've answered that. What did you study in school and why did you choose that field? Was to be a lawyer. My dream was to be a lawyer when I grew up, and I'll blame Law and Order for that. My grandmother loved Law and Order, so I'll blame Law and Order for that. So that was my dream. And so in studying, my undergrad, I majored in law and industrial sociology. And it was a nice combination because I thought that my journey would go labor law, kind of in the labor law direction. It didn't. I invested more in sociology, so I invested my energy more in sociology. And I feel like sociology spoke more to me. And so I then did my honors in sociology, started my master's in sociology. And I became a researcher / sociologist. And why did I choose the field? Sociology is a beautiful discipline because it teaches you about society, but in a very well-rounded manner. I loved that about it. And I think it's influenced everything how I look at things, but also everything that I currently do, It has been great value to me. How did education prepare you for your career? We don't speak a lot about this. And I think, I won't go into depth about it, but I think when we go into university, you don't go there. There are a select few who go into university knowing that their career journey is mapped out. This is what they want to do. Doctors, your CAs and stuff, a person will know that this is what they want to do. But oftentimes the majority of people choose majors, careers, their qualifications, not necessarily knowing how that is going to translate as a career. And I think I'm one of those people. Because I had gotten into university thinking that I was going to go the law path. Then I learned a number of things when I got into university. And then all of a sudden, law was not a thing that I was passionate about anymore. And I didn't know how my career journey was going to move. And I think, there's value in going into something and knowing what you want the outcome to be, right? And my outcome was very clear. I wanted to be a lawyer. But as I transitioned, I then didn't know where that would take me, right? And I think God kind of helped me through it, because I do think that I fumbled a lot because I didn't know what being an industrial sociologist looks like. What kind of work do you do as an industrial sociologist? I didn't know all of that. I think that my education, though, played a huge role and a great role in allowing for me to get access to particular platforms and certain kinds of work. So it fulfilled that element, I would say. What was my first job? What was your first job, and what did you learn from it? My very first job was as a project coordinator. And it was I worked in an HIV and reproductive health institute, and they did research on HIV and reproductive health. And I was a project coordinator for one of their research projects. That job taught me everything I know about my capabilities. Not everything, but most of the things I got to learn about my capabilities. That job taught me how to work in a structured way. That job taught me how to lead people, because my very first job, I literally had about 14 people plus reporting to me. My very, very first job. So I learned how to be a leader through that job. I learned learned how to see people. I learned how to hear people. And I learned how to work with people in that job. I learned so much about research, the principles of research, which has also influenced how I do my work, because one of my businesses is a research consulting business. So yeah, that was my first job, and I enjoyed it. I loved it so much. Were there any internship part-time jobs that influenced your career path? I'll tell you what influenced me deciding that I won't do law. There is it's called Legal Resources, and I think it's an NPO. I'm not sure, but I went to volunteer there for one holiday, and they have a bunch of lawyers, obviously, and I looked at the work that they were doing, and I was like, I don't think this is me. I don't think that I want to do this. I don't think that I want to do this. And I'm certain that if I had maybe worked in a corporate space, maybe I would have enjoyed the thrill of it. But I don't enjoy the practice of law. I love, and Suits is not the practice of law. If you watch Suits is not the practice of law. So that definitely influenced the career path, because I ended up not doing the thing that I thought I was going to do originally. Okay, describe your current role and responsibilities. Okay, I'll describe the work that I do. So I am a leadership and executive coach, and I have been coaching now since 2016, but professionally for the past 4 going to 5 years currently. And what has been most significant in the work that I do is there is no greater gift than watching someone step into their power and achieve the things that they want to achieve, or learn certain things about themselves. I don't think there's anything more rewarding. And that's what coaching does for me. It allows for me to co-partner with people in birthing their visions, in learning about themselves, in unlearning certain things about themselves, in healing, right? In them being awakened. So that's what coaching does. And I think that it's such a privilege to have that, to be in the front seat of someone's growth and development is such a blessing. So yeah, I think that's probably one of the most significant achievements for me. And the beauty about it also is that I get to have it in every other session that I have. That I get to experience that. So I don't have to wait long for me to see people like get their breakthroughs and get things done. So the beauty of being able to journey with people is really, really amazing. Challenges that I've faced. So the question says, what challenges have you faced and how did you overcome them? Oh, my career journey on its own was a blessing, but that came with so much responsibility and so many challenges. I currently am a coach, and one would also call me a human behavior specialist, right? Because I help people understand human behavior in order to help organizations then build structures and strategies that help for organizational behavior, for culture, etc. So, as I said, I started off in research, right? And majority of my working career was actually within research and in, I'll say, the dealing with social issues, really. And when God instructed me to transition, it was a difficult transition for me, or difficult path, because I had no one to guide me on how that would look. I had a few people, but I didn't have like time, firstly, to go intensively on what this transition would look like. And I knew that leaving something that I have so much experience in and well-versed and good at, to go and start something from scratch is a huge risk. But it's a risk that was worth it, because it's a risk that is very much in alignment with everything that I am. And not that research is not, because research is also a huge part of the work that I do. But research takes lesser, a lesser portion of my time than coaching and all of the strategy work that I do. And so I love that that's my reality now, but it was definitely challenging. I think also just being a Black young girl who was going into the work environment hopeful, and to a certain extent naive, was also challenging, because there are realities of systematic issues that corporates are built with, but there's also the issues of you not being able to speak up for yourself, and you not being able to negotiate a salary that you want, and all of those things. So I think those are things that, now that I do the work that I do, is such a privilege for me to help other people be able to have that voice, utilize that voice, not have the voice, but utilize their voice in communicating the things that they want and need. Have you had any mentors, and how has this impacted your career? So I think I've had mentors, but I've never had I've had mentors, but I've never had relationships where it starts out and I ask the person to be my mentor. I've had mentors by having relationships with people and then taking on lessons from those different people and asking different questions to those people within context, obviously. So I have had mentors, even though it was not in the traditional sense, and that has impacted how I have viewed myself, how I've viewed the potential that I have and had, and how I work with people as well, and just how to navigate some of the challenges that work comes with. So I definitely have had mentors. What motivated me to move from one job or industry to another? So I basically transitioned from research, which was in health and reproductive health, HIV and reproductive health, as well as developmental issues, so social ills, gender. I also worked as a monitoring and evaluation officer for an institution. And when I transitioned into what the work that I do now, which is mostly in organizational development and human behavior and obviously coaching, I was not aware of what that would also look like, but I just knew that I wanted to work with people in the corporate space. I wanted to understand how people show up in the corporate space. I wanted to understand how corporates utilize and see people, what is referred to talent management, talent acquisition. I wanted all of that, but I didn't have the language for it at the time, right? So I think that's what motivated me. I wanted to, and I also wanted to use the industrial sociology that I had, and it just so happened that everything just worked out for me in that sense. Can you describe a significant career change? I think I've already mentioned that. Skills and development. Okay, Asana, this is gonna make me feel like I'm in an interview. No. But what skills do you consider your strongest, and how have you developed them? You know, my career journey has taught me that I'm a very adaptable person. So adaptability, and I don't think that adaptability is necessarily something that we are born with, because change is difficult for anyone, right? Navigating change is difficult. So, but adaptability is a skill that I've acquired with the years, and that's definitely been adamant also in the kind of journey I've gone through in the different roles I have worked in. Another skill that I think also comes naturally for me is communication. I think I'm a good communicator. I am leadership, I'd say, is both nature and nurture. And I think naturally I had a leadership gene. I'm joking. A leadership gene, but I had something about leadership in me. I don't know where it comes from. I think it might come from my dad's family, really. But there was something about leadership that came naturally to me. And so in my work then, leadership as a thing that was innate to me then got cultivated as a skill. And so that's one of the skills, hence my coaching as well. But I'm a strong believer in, you don't just rely on what you think you know how to do. You have to sharpen your skill, which is why I continue to study, because I can't just rely on it's in the thing that's innate to me. So those are a few of my skills, or my strong skills. There are many. I'm a good writer as well, a great teacher. What areas do you want to improve, and how are you working on them? You're as an Lindsay. Oh my gosh. I think adaptability is one of those things that you can never really arrive at. And that is one of the skills that I probably will be improving until I die. Adaptability goes well with agility, because the ability for you to be agile means you have to adapt to different environments and different work contexts. So both of those, I think, are things that I am actively working on. Currently, I think actively working on. Probably there'll be many more also, and there are many more. I think I did probably. There are many more, but just to keep it brief. What type of work environment do you thrive in? I always actually introduce myself by saying to people, the life that I live now was not my dream. I used to think that my journey was simply going to be a corporate girl in heels and a pencil skirt. Nebana Lalo vibe coming up. And, you know, in my corner office, or open plan, as we now know workplaces to be. And that would be my journey. But I quickly learned that I don't have a problem with like that kind of space, right? Because that's my dream. But what God challenged me to do was to learn how to self-manage. And in a corporate environment, you are reporting to someone, right? You're reporting to someone, you're reporting to different structures, you have many stakeholders, etc. And I think the work that I do now has had to teach me how to thrive in an environment where I am the person I am reporting to, right? And that requires a level of discipline that is beyond a discipline that you would have, knowing that if you don't submit a report, this is what the repercussions are going to be. I'm a boss, and I have also learned that I have to thrive in different environments. So I can't tell myself that, I don't want to report to anyone, because even though I am an entrepreneur, there are instances where I partner with people in projects or in certain work, and I have to report to those people. So the idea of the type of work or environment that I thrive in, put me anywhere and I'll thrive, because I've had to learn to do that. So let's go future goals and aspirations. Your short-term and long-term career goals. Let me answer it with the second one, because the second one says, where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years, I want to see myself graduating for my PhD. In 5 years, that's what I want to see. I also want to, one of the things that I really miss, that I've discovered, is being in academic spaces. So I'm committing the next few years, I'm not sure how long it's going to take, to make myself a credible voice within the coaching space and organizational development space. I want to go into lecturing. I want to write academic journals. I want to be an authority in the work that I do, and I think it's important as a Black female to do that. So that's where I see myself, and I think it will be in the next 5 years and beyond. Really, I also see my business growing, their group growing, and it becoming way bigger than whatever I imagine it to be, because I believe that God can do that. So looking back, is there anything that I would have done differently in my career? A part of me wants to say I would have had, I think the one thing that I would have done differently would probably have been my posture in going into varsity. I don't think I believed much in myself when I went into university. And as a result, there are certain things that were said and spoken. And I wondered if those things did not deter me from the things that I originally wanted. For example, when in our first year of law, I remember them saying, 50% of you won't make it to third year, right? I made it to third year. But when I was doing the part-time job, I don't know I recognize that I really didn't want to do it, but I don't know if that was influenced by the fact that there was that voice that had spoken earlier on that said, you won't make it past this. So when I eventually got to third year, I don't know if it was me that really didn't want to continue with the law, or it was simply God's way of just moving me a different direction. I don't know. So I think that the self-belief and it becomes a thing that is so necessary when you are trying to map out your career, because it influences how you show up. I think I would have showed up so differently in my studies had I known what I know about me and about God now. I would have shown up differently. And I definitely would say that was the birth of, many things. And by the grace of God, even though I didn't show up as presently and as marvelously as I show up now, for my studies and for the work that I do, God was able to work things out for the good for me. But I think I could have done better. You get what I mean? And that could have done better, could have probably opened maybe other opportunities. I don't know. So I think self-belief is such a massive thing. It's such a massive thing. And that's probably the advice that I would give to anyone. To say, show up excellently. Show up excellently with everything that you know and believe to be good and worthy about you. Because that's so important. I think that is so, so important. The best career advice I've ever received. Master what you know. Master what you know. Yeah, that is the best career advice I've ever received. It was truthful then when I heard it, and that was in first year, and it still is truthful now. I don't know how many years later, because it's been years since I left varsity, but that is the best career advice I've ever received. Master what you know. What motivates me to get up and go to work every day? I know that I am living in an answered prayer. I know that I'm living, and it took me a while to accept this, that the life I'm living was not my plan. It was not my dream. But the life I live is God's dream for me. And the work that I do is God's dream for me. And so I wake up being motivated that in my doing, in my everything, that I touch, people I communicate with, God is in it. And that motivates me. My family also motivates me. My daughter motivates me. Yeah. How do you balance, your professional and personal life? There are things that are core to me as a person, and those things center me daily. And if I don't do those things on a daily, the way I show up in my work and in my life becomes questionable. So I have a morning routine that, I'm flexible with, but there's certain things that are solidly important for me. Reading the word, journaling, meditation, what else? And learning anything, and exercise, actually. So it's those 5 things. And at times I'm not able to do all of them at the same time. Whenever I'm able to do all of them before my day can start, oh my gosh, it's a day that is heavenly and beautiful. So I think that is my mission. Actually, for a very long time, those core things were things that I would start the day with. This year has been slightly different because I started off the year differently to how I had thought it would go. I've been sick, grief, and all of that. So I've created space for all those things to show up. But that's definitely the way I balance my personal and professional, is that I make sure that I am fueled up to show up for all of the different things that need me. So in my business, my work, and in my personal life. And I have also learned to say no. That's also how I learned to balance. I've also learned to say no. And the last question says, what does success mean to you? Success currently means, I'll give you a deep, sensible answer, and I'll also give you the other answer, which is also very true for me. Success currently means living for purpose, in purpose, and doing work that is purpose driven and aligned, right? Sana my husband so that's what success means to me. And so every project that I work on, I pray and hope that purpose comes alive in it. And then success also means having 4 helpers. Success also means having 4 helpers. I will be so happy when I can live that life where I can have 4 helpers. Oh, I will know that I've made it. I will know that I've made it. But I also live a life right now where I know that I've made it, you know. But I would definitely, success would also look like that, 4 helpers for me. So the last question is, if you could have any job in the world, what would it be and why? I don't think I would want any other job rather than the job that I have now. Or the jobs that I have now, which are a coach, a research consultant, an organizational development consultant, a mom, because that's a full-time job, a wife, because that's a full-time job. And I wouldn't want it any other way because I really am living in the middle of a dream. And it may have not been my dream, but I know so many people who look at my life and think, yo, you know, this is what we would like. But I also recognize that this is God's dream for me. And it's only now that I'm being surrendered to it. So yeah, I wouldn't want any other job in the world. My current job and roles allow for me to have a lot of freedom, and my current life also would allow for me to work from anywhere in the world. So I don't think there's anything else that I would want beyond this. Anything else would be an add-on. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. And now you know what I do. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.